Bai Yao took a deep breath. At this moment, the sound of breaking wind outside the cave was incessant. Bai Yao's face darkened, and she took a step forward, saying, "Everyone, I don't understand why the righteous sect members know where we are. But now that I, as the only daughter of the Ghost King, am also trapped here and facing the same danger as everyone else, do you still suspect the Ghost King sect?" With these words, most people quieted down. At this time, the tall man took a step forward and said, in a deep voice, "Everyone, it's a critical moment now. Why don't we join forces and fight the enemy together? If we join forces, we may not necessarily lose to those hypocrites from the righteous sects." Everyone nodded. In fact, at this moment, there was no other way. Although this cave was large, it was a dead end with no other exit. At this moment, all the members of the demonic cult quickly organized themselves, gathered their courage, and rushed out. Before long, there were sounds of magical weapons clashing and people cursing and roaring outside. In the cave, which was still crowded just now, only Bai Yao from the Ghost King sect and the figure standing in the shadows remained. Zhang Xiaofan was happy and worried at the same time. Although he knew that Bai Yao was a demonic called demoness and not on the same path as himself, after experiencing life and death together along the way, he couldn't help but feel differently about this somewhat unruly woman. Bai Yao frowned, about to turn around and speak to the person in the shadows, when she suddenly caught sight of someone standing alone in the field below. It was ZhuXian, but she didn't know when he had stayed behind. Repeatedly incites others to antagonize the Ghost King sect. Biao has no fondness for him at all. Her face immediately darkens as she coldly sneers. Instead of helping fellow Taoists, "You stay here. What do you intend to do?" However, Zhou remains calm and composed. He smiles and says, "I just want to see if the people of the Ghost King sect are really willing to advance and retreat together with us insignificant foot soldiers, or if they simply regard us as cannon fodder." Biao's expression turns cold, about to retort, when suddenly, a man standing in the shadows behind them speaks, "You are not one of my sect's disciples. Who are you, exactly?" Biao is startled, but the man addressed as Zhou also trembles slightly. He gazes toward the shadow and says in a deep voice, "Who is this? How dare you speak nonsense like this? I am a disciple of the blood-refining whole of the holy sect, just because I speak out for justice. Do you intend to slander me?" Zhang Xiaofan and Tia Linger are also surprised by the sudden turn of events. However, Zhang Xiaofan's mind is filled with more doubts. The voice of the man in the shadow sounds somewhat familiar, but he can't recall where he heard it before. The man in the shadow calmly says, "The blood-refining hall was once a leader of the holy sect 800 years ago, but now it has declined. Even elders are not as skilled as you. How could they accept you as an ordinary disciple? If he truly had such ability, the blood-refining hall would have risen long ago." Zhou snorts and retorts, "You haven't even seen me take action. How do you know the extent of my cultivation?" The man smiles faintly and replies, "Why bother seeing your cultivation when I can judge it without witnessing your techniques?" Just now, all Taoist Kingsong use the Taiji profound clear Tao to imprint sound into the stone. Those with lower cultivation would have their souls shaken and lose their footing. Yet you acted as if nothing happened. The disparity in cultivation is clear. At a glance, what is so difficult to understand? Zhou's expression changes, and he gazes at the shadow for a while before asking, "I didn't expect that there would be hidden talents within the demonic sect. Who are you, exactly?" Biao shouts lightly, rising into the air, angrily saying, "Accept your death." Suddenly, the dark cave is filled with white light and a fragrant aroma. White flowers dance around Biao, swirling endlessly. However, despite the bright light, it seems unable to penetrate the shadow where the man stands. Keeping his face obscured from view, Zhou doesn't dare to be careless. He takes a step back and reaches out, grabbing a dazzling fairy sword out of thin air with a hissing sound. "Ha!" The man in the shadows suddenly murmurs. The seven-star sword. In the blink of an eye, Biao and Zhou engage in battle, flying into the air. Their exchange of blows makes the vast space feel cramped. As Zhang Xiaofan listens, he realizes Zhou is likely also from the righteous path. He feels conflicted, hoping the fight ends soon and Biao retreats. But at this moment, Tianyin whispers beside him that Zizhou is probably a disciple of our Qingyun Sect. Zhang Xiaofan is surprised. How do you know him? Tianyin shakes her head, glancing at the scene, and whispers, I remember my mother mentioning that the 7-star sword is a famous divine weapon of the Changmen Tongshan Peak lineage. Senior ZhuXian also used it back then. Later, I heard it was passed on to ... double quotes. Before she finishes, they hear Bia's cry, and suddenly, a powerful force erupts, filling the cave with dazzling white flowers, crashing towards them. Zhang Xiaofan and Tianyin feel the tremors around them and are amazed by Zizhou's skill in the Taiji Profound Clear Dao. They realize Zizhou's cultivation in this Dao is probably superior to most of the younger generation disciples of Qingyun Sect. As the white light fades, Bia's white flower well disappears, revealing her pale face, indicating she's been injured. Zhang Xiaofan and Tianyin are worrying for Zizhou. However, they see Zizhou frown, retreating a step, and gesturing with his hands. His fingers move swiftly. Zhang Xiaofan and Tianyin realize Zizhou is indeed a disciple of Qingyun Sect, practicing the Taiji Profound Clear Dao. In an instant, the 7-star sword reverses and shines brightly, standing in the center of the Taiji diagram. After a moment, it flies out like a bolt of lightning. Soon, the two treasures collide in midair with a thunderous boom, boom. The resulting shockwave sends ripples of light outward, causing the entire cave to reverberate. The walls above start to crumble, and rocks fall. Zhang Xiaofan and Tianyin struggle to maintain their balance amidst the shaking. They are impressed by Zizhou's mastery of the Taiji Profound Clear Dao. Bia's flower well dissipates, but she appears pale. Zhang Xiaofan and Tianyin rush to Zizhou's side, but he stops them with a strained voice. Don't. Zhang Jr. brother, Tia Jr. sister, that person. His cultivation is too high. You're not his match. Zhang Xiaofan is startled, and Tianyin asks, how do you know our names? Zizhou hesitates, looks ahead, and they sense something. They turn to look at Biao together. In midair, a middle-aged man descends with Biao. He calmly says, Yaoer, the harmony bell is a divine artifact left by Lady Jinling. Your cultivation is insufficient. Don't use it casually, or it will backfire. Don't use it lightly in the future. Bia's complexion gradually returns to normal as she murmurs softly, yes, father. Zhang Xiaofan and the others are stunned. Zizhou seems to have recovered somewhat. Watching the man's back intently, he speaks in a low voice. Could it be that you are the Ghost King, one of the 4 grandmasters of the demonic sect? The middle-aged man smiles, faintly, turning around, revealing his face to Zhang Xiaofan and the others. They are shocked to see that he is none other than the person who told Zhang Xiaofan about the secret of the fire staff under the tea stall at the foot of Quangzhen Mountain Wangwanren.